The national debt. Don't turn off the TV. Don't turn off the TV. I'm not going to bore you on my life. Here's the thing. National debt, the debt, spending. These are things we don't talk about very much. Oh, don't get me wrong. That language, we spend too much. It's too much spending. The debt, that's always part of the right. It's always sprinkled in there somewhere. But we don't talk about it that much. I'm just as guilty. I have an hour-long TV show every night. I'm on the radio nationally for 3 hours every single night. I talk about the debt, yes, not that much. Why? It doesn't interest you. For the most part, it doesn't interest you. I get that. There's no judgment here. It interests me a great deal because I know the stakes. It doesn't interest most people because they don't think about the stakes. And the numbers are so huge, you can't care because your mind can't comprehend it. My mind can't comprehend it. $28 trillion national debt? What does that number even mean? 28 trillion is more than you could ever wrap your mind around. All we know is, wow, that sounds like a lot, right? So we don't talk enough about the debt. We should, though. We should. Because understand what happens at some point. And we're full speed ahead. We'll get to this new bill and all this in just a second. We're full speed ahead. Understand what happens at some point. At some point, you can't do it anymore. There's an old saying in investing, trees don't grow to the sky. You can't keep doing what we're doing here in the United States of America until the end of time. Let's all agree on that. Okay, so now that we're there, you can't do this forever. You can't print trillions in unbacked currency forever. You can't spend trillions more than you bring in every year forever. There's an end date on that. All right, fine. I think we're all in agreement there. If you're not, you're dumb. But there's an end date. Okay, so what's that look like? What does end date actually look like? Well, how about 25% interest rates or higher? You know what? Let's set aside interest rates. Maybe that's something that you can't relate to. Let's just set interest rates aside. What if the Social Security checks stop coming? What if Medicare? You don't know anyone who uses Medicare, right? You certainly don't, right? What if Medicare, not acknowledged anymore at hospitals, program is out of money? What if the number one superpower in the world, us, right? What if the number one superpower in the world had to take a look at its military and say, half of you are gone. Half of these ships gone. What do you think China would do if America announced massive cuts to its military? And by the way, I just brought up three big things. The little things that would get slashed and burned. You want to talk about civil unrest? There would be rioting in the streets. When you get to that end date, whenever that date is, and I don't know. In all honesty, nobody knows. I have on all these fancy experts. They don't know. It'll be tomorrow. It'll be a year from now. Maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. I don't know. But when you get to that date, there's going to be so much pain that comes with it. You and I, we're going to spend a lot of time saying to each other, why didn't I care more about the debt? I should have cared more about the debt. We didn't talk about the debt. So I'll go over a couple things here. These numbers are huge. They'll go right through your mind. They went right through mine. There's no judgment here. I get it. They're huge, but just understand this. This has an end date, and it hurts. Now, good news and bad news, kind of. Good news is Democrats were trying from some absurd $3.5 trillion bill, and this bill had everything they ever wanted in it. I mean, it had everything they ever wanted in it. They just tried to stuff it all in one massive reconciliation bill and pass it through, which would be horribly corrupt, but that's what they did for Obamacare. They were going to try it again. Kyrsten Sinema, Democrat out of Arizona, and Joe Manchin were actually two who stepped up and said, wait a minute, no, we can't do that. That's too far. So I can't believe I'm saying these words, but praise God for Kyrsten Sinema. That's one. Two, that thing had amnesty for illegal immigrants in it. Remember I just said how it had everything they ever wanted? Well, why do you think that border has been so open? Starting to understand now. A million new Democrats wouldn't have hurt their chances for 2022 and 2024, would it? Anyway, moving on. That's the good news. Good news is we stopped the big bad one. The bad news is didn't stop them all. And of course, with Republican help, Democrats get an infrastructure bill through. $973 billion infrastructure bill. It's a big one. It's not funded at all. It includes $550 billion in brand new spending. And here's the thing. I know what you're saying right now. Well, Jesse, that's a lot of money, but maybe it's worth it. Maybe we need it. What's in it? Oh, I don't know. And here's the thing. The people who voted for it don't know either. I'm not making this up. They voted for a bill basically saying, we're going to pass a bill. Oh, there are some outlines of a couple little things in here I'll go over in a second. But for the most part, we have people, Democrats and Republicans, voting to spend $1 trillion of your and my money, and they don't even know what's in it. Why? I'll get to that in a moment. Of course, you have nutballs like AOC. They're putting content out on social media. Cori Bush did the same thing, putting out a picture of all the people who really put together the bill, and they're all white. And of course, they're making it out to be some white thing, and it's a racist bill. And let's all take a minute and laugh at AOC, because who doesn't need to brighten their day by laughing at AOC? But anyway, 17 Republicans, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, all the usual suspects. I'm not going to read you the entire list. You can see the whole thing right there. Now, what's in it? Again, let me reiterate, we don't really know. We do know there are a couple high points they're going to fill in the blanks on. One, $144 billion for climate policies like clean energy transmission and racial alleged disparities and in the environmental pollution. I love this part. $10 billion for electric vehicles, $66 billion to address Amtrak's backlog. I just want to clarify something about Amtrak really quickly here. Amtrak's backlog, $66 billion. What's any of this mean? Well, you know Amtrak's the trains, right? Amtrak has been hemorrhaging money forever. It's not a profitable business. Government knows this. What's government's solution? Get rid of it, reform it? No. They take $66 billion of your money and they just chuck it at the problem. These people have no concept and no care for our money at all. Now, before I go on to one other thing, allow me to explain this bill, this fill-in-the-blanks bill. Here's what happens when they pass these massive bills. They pass the bill, and look, this is not in the movies. This is really what happens. They pass the bill, and then all these senators and congressmen, they all start horse trading with the money in the bill. There's nobody, and I can't stress this enough, there's nobody sitting down with a grand master plan saying, this is really what America needs. We need a new highway here. We really need a new bridge there. We need to get... That person doesn't exist. All these people sit down with a gigantic pile of your money, and they just decide, all right, Nancy gets 100, right? Nancy, all right, Nancy, go ahead, build that in your town. That'll help your reelection. Hey, Bob, how much you need? All right, well, no, we can't give you that much. We'll give you this much, right? That much is for Bob. They just sit down with huge piles of our money and hand it out trying to buy votes. That's all these people do. A completely broken, scummy, corrupt government. Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.